Did you see where James Carville just came out trashing Bernie?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so his quote was, "I'm not interested in being in a cult." So I'm just curious, given the fact that Bernie Sanders has just taken 2 states, what this means for the base of the Democrat Party. I mean, Bernie is...
Look, the Democratic Party has always been and is a very diverse party.
I mean, but if we're talking about socialism, let's just go there.
Bernie Sanders has been saying the same thing he's been saying for the last 40 or 50 years. He can stand on his own 2 feet and make his arguments. I think just to relegate this, well, this is socialism, I think that's overly simplistic. Looking at the changes that we need to make in this country, and this is, I'm running for president, and it is for a very specific reason, to bring about sensible change to our country, getting our priorities straight so we stop wasting taxpayer dollars and needlessly sending our troops into harm's way to fight in wars that do not make us any safer.
But it's not sensible, the new Green Deal, and we've got people supporting Bernie now in 2 states that apparently
I'm here to
support
talk about
that.
me. I know, Kelly.
Well,
I'm here to talk about
but
me.
I'm going there
I am not a
because-
co-sponsor of the Green New Deal. You want to ask me why?
Right, but
you want to ask me why?
But let me ask you where I'm going with this. I'm bringing this up for a reason because I want to talk about you, and it is that if the base is saying that they like Bernie, how are you appealing to the base? Like, that's where I'm going.
We are 2 states into this Democratic primary, so I think it's a disservice to the people of the other 48 states and territories to presume what they will do or how they will vote. I think it's important that we have this process, that we allow voters the opportunity to make sure their voices are heard. And here's the biggest problem that I see so far where voters are concerned is we all want voters to be able to make the best informed decisions. But unfortunately, so far in this process, we've had both the corporate media and the DNC trying to exercise their own pre-primary, pre-selection process, choosing which voices they think voters should hear from and which voices they don't want voters to hear from, which again is frustrating to voters, and it's unnecessarily impacting their ability to get the information they need. I've obviously been challenged in a detrimentally negative way because of this.
So how about being the centrist candidate? It's really not been good for Biden. Here he is coming in 5th in New Hampshire. Mayor Pete seems to be getting all the attention, like you're saying. When it comes to being a centrist candidate, what about Tulsi being the centrist candidate?
I bring a sensible approach to just solving problems. I've frustrated a lot of people in Washington for a long time because I've never fit into the boxes or the labels that they try to place on people, whether it's progressive or centrist or moderate or conservative or this or that. I'm a Democrat. I'm a very independent thinking person, and the way that I've approached legislation in Congress, the votes that I take, my positions on issues, and the solutions that I think we need is really just focusing on let's get the best of ideas, whether they're Democrat or Republican ideas, and make sure they work. Make sure we're actually achieving the objective we're trying to accomplish, which is helping serve the people of this country, increase their quality of life and their well-being.
Where does Bloomberg fit in? He's kind of blowing all this up with billions of dollars and, trying to be the centrist candidate.
He just bought his way onto the debate stage, right? I mean, this is what I'm talking about. The DNC for so long hasn't changed their rules and have made it difficult or next to impossible for people like me to get on the debate stage. But Bloomberg, who would not qualify under any of the rules they've had so far, snap of a fingers, and they've changed the rules so that he can.
That's got to be incredibly frustrating. The contested convention, this idea is coming up given there's no coalescing around a candidate in New Hampshire. I know we're early into it, but what does that look like? It was bad for Bernie last time around. What is it for Tulsi if there's a contested convention come July?
We will see how this shakes out. My biggest concern with this contested convention is the fact that the Democratic Party still has superdelegates. This is where the Republican Party has done something right in not having superdelegates. The fact that wherever this ends up at the convention in July, assuming that there will not be a nominee chosen in the first ballot, this is where superdelegates, unfortunately, would have the ability to come in and make a concerted effort to completely tilt the scales and choose the candidate of their choosing. And I've heard from a lot of Democrats how concerned they are about this, just as they were frustrated in 2016 and saying, hey, look, we work hard, we go and we campaign, and we volunteer, we go and cast our votes. how are we supposed to have faith that it is our voices and votes that will actually make the decision in the end?
How does Tulsi Gabbard beat Donald Trump? You're a lot alike, when it comes to not fitting a round hole square peg. When it comes to not fitting the Republican.
Yeah, I bring. I think the two main points I want to make there is I bring a fresh new generation of leadership, a fresh perspective, a fresh approach to solving problems, but with the background and experience to back that up, to turn those ideas and that vision into reality. I have experience in the two critical ways necessary for us to have a successful commander-in-chief and president. Number one is be prepared and have the experience to actually do that job, to be the commander-in-chief of our armed forces. I have that through my experience both serving as a soldier now for almost 17 years. I've deployed twice to the Middle East and seen firsthand the terribly high human cost of war. And throughout my 7 years in Congress, I've worked on the Foreign Affairs Committee, on the Armed Services and Homeland Security Committees, and have also worked with Republicans to get things done, to get legislation passed, something that is essential for our next president to be able to do. We can have all the ideas in the world that we want, but unless you can actually work across party lines with the House and the Senate, then those ideas will just remain ideas rather than real solutions that serve people.
How about the State of the Union speech and how Democrats responded? How do you feel about that?
As a whole, or?
Yeah, the not standing, sitting on hands. I mean, there was a lot to celebrate.
This is historic. I mean, you look. This just points actually to the hyperpartisanship in Washington. I was there for the last couple of State of Unions with President Obama. You could turn the tables and say, well, look, how did Republicans react to him? It is the hyperpartisanship that's the problem, where issues that are common to all Americans, concerns that are common to all Americans, things that we should all, Republicans and Democrats, should be able to stand together and work together on, are unfortunately being lost into this political theater in Washington that really only Washington is paying attention to. Folks at home, myself included, when I watched some of the clips, I was just shaking my head saying, this is not the country that our founders envisioned for us. They envisioned a government of, by, and for the people. They envisioned co-equal branches of government actually working to represent the needs of the people in this country, and that's what I want to bring our country back to. Together. Yeah. When we stand together as Americans, recognizing, not being afraid of, but recognizing and respecting the fact that, you and I will probably have some different ideas on how we solve different issues of the day. But I respect you. I think you respect me. You're having me on your show. And the fact that we can have this dialogue is what we need more of in this country. When we do this, then I know we can accomplish anything.
So Tulsi, your direct appeal to conservative voters who can openly vote in our primary here coming up in a few weeks, what do you want to say to them? I'm a person, a candidate, and a president who will treat all Americans with respect. Something I appreciate and experienced so much during my deployment to Iraq was my fellow soldiers and we had each other's back. We came from many different parts of the country. We had many different backgrounds, maybe differences in ideas, but we had each other's back. As your president, I will always treat you with respect. I will always have your back. And my personal commitment to you every single day is that my sole mission is to serve you and to fight for you.